Hello and welcome back to Draw 22 of the 2013 World Mixed Doubles Curling Championship here in Fredericton, New Brunswick at the Grant Harvey Center. I'm Dean Gemmel and I'm joined on this webcast by the 2011 Women's World Champion, Sarah Carlson.
It's lovely to be joining you again, Dean.
Happy to have you along. It's Group C matchup tonight. Norway at 5-1 against unbeaten Scotland at 6-0. There are 27 teams in the Mixed Doubles World Championships, and this is Group C. Each group has 9 teams. This is a look at Group C where we see Scotland and Norway right at the top of the standings. 6-0 for Scotland, 5-1 for Norway. There's the latter half of the group. Latvia at 2-4, Slovakia at 2-4, Finland at 1-5, and England still looking for their first win at 0-6.
Lineup for Norway, they have a male player, Magnus Nedregotten, and female player, Christine Skaslien.
And for Team Scotland, we have Bruce Mowat as the male player and Gina Aiken as the female player. They're coached by David Aiken. This young Scottish team, each player playing very well so far. Have a look at the stone color for the game. Norway's throwing the red stones. Scotland will throw the yellow stones. And much like in traditional curling, there was a draw to the button for hammer. And hammer in the first end secured by Scotland.
See the first stone coming down here from Norway, the very important first freeze. Mixed double is a bit different from traditional curling. You have 2 players on each team, 1 male, 1 female. You have the same sheet of ice as regular curling, but instead of 8 stones, you have 6. 1 for each stone is 1 for each team is pre-positioned along the center line. Team with hammer will start off with 1 just back of the button. Team without hammer will have the center guard. 1 player will throw the first and 5th stone. The other one will throw 2, 3, and 4, and they are allowed to swap between the ends. Don't see a lot of the teams do that, but some certainly do.
We haven't seen these teams do it. We haven't seen Scotland switch their rotation, their lineup. Bruce Mowat has thrown 1 and 5 throughout the event. He's actually the number 2 ranked skip, or number 2 ranked male player after defending world champion Martin Rios.
It's kind of hard to say who's the skip.
Yes, we're still looking for those position names in this event, but he's the number 2 ranked male player, and
Gina Aiken is actually the number 1 ranked female player.
So it's no surprise that they're 6-0 when their percentages are that good.
Definitely not. One other exciting thing about mixed doubles is the fact that takeouts are not allowed until the 4th stone in each end. So Magnus Nedregotten here for Norway, he cannot remove any stones from play. He will have to play a draw. Gonna try and find the lid here, or top 4 foot.
Magnus is the 7th ranked male player in the standings. Kristen, his teammate, is a 12th ranked player in the standings.
Yeah, but they are experienced curlers. Both Magnus and Christine represent Norway at international level. Christine has been in women's play and Magnus has been in the juniors for Norway. So they have some experience at this level, while the young Scottish duo is fairly new.
See Gina Aiken go down to deliver the 2nd stone in the end for Scotland. We haven't had a chance to see them a whole lot since they were on the webcast, but they seem to have managed their games really well. Perhaps their last game giving up a 4 in the 7th end to let Latvia back in it, but generally in control of games throughout.
Yeah, with this aggressive format, it's happened very often that teams, even though they have a big lead, give up 3s, 4s, or even 5s.
Rock has some curling to do.
Yep, and Magnus actually calling his shot before this one is even halfway down. Not in a bad position. Well, sits, I believe, shot stone. It's just a question of, with the scoring area now being so busy, how are they ever going to score two?
And there is a slash here for Norway if they want it. But Christine Skazlian favors the freeze.
I think we saw this when we had them on our webcast previously, that Christine will often call a draw or freeze. Magnus seems to be more leaning towards hitting.
There probably is a tendency to call a shot that you're more comfortable with, which might be a reason in mixed doubles to have the thrower call the shot all the time, because there really is no such thing in this as a true skip of the team. Skipping duties are shared, sweeping duties are shared, everything but the throwing duties are shared. Leave that a little bit short.
That's certainly fine if they want to keep Scotland from scoring two, and the slash will still be there.
I'm not sure what it's like on the side. Gina, is this alright?
Good conversation about the ice.
Yep, and Magnus just realizing they could have tapped the yellow one through the hole.
Pointing that out at this point. That's the other reason to stay down near the scoring end when you're throwing, to have a look at the rings instead of being in the far hack and not being exactly sure what's going on.
Yeah, now he's also wondering why they didn't play the slash. He should have stayed down there.
You're saying he is only himself to blame.
I'm saying they should have talked about it.
They were quick to that freeze. I don't think he realized how the rocks were set up. I think the slash was there to get them. Slash they could have laid too.
Gina Aitken is going to try and take it away though with this draw. She might be over curling actually. If she can just rub off of that, might still be okay.
Chop it up. Now I think Magnus will run that in though.
Yes, he will.
Very short run back.
Yep, he's not going to play too much weight at it though.
Backline to hack.
Very good Norwegian, Dean.
That's brilliant. It's just a little bit high side here. On it early. Now off. Magnus switching. He's twirling, as we've seen in earlier games,
Yep.
to get on the right side of the
And
rock.
hits this.
That's a gem.
Yep. That's another word I've learned from you this week.
They can slash this yellow onto it, but
One red's certainly going to stay there.
indeed.
What do you like, Barry? I'll give you tight if you take the guard.
The ever popular Scottish barrier weight. All of us outside of Scotland love hearing that. That's when we know we're at a world championship.
Yeah.
Saying if they take the guard here, then that's an acceptable result.
Gina sticking with those mitts. It's not an especially warm arena all the time, but
Maybe it's also that she likes to wear them for sweeping.
she quickly puts the mitt back on to sweep. Come up a little bit for them.
Rearrange the angles, leaving Norway sitting one.
With the yellows clustered around it. They will have to be careful here. They could leave. I think they would like to be second shot here. Best guard would be second shot.
Det blir kanskje lettere for den hvis du gjør den da.
Ja, for da har den noen overlapping.
Gjør det da.
Ja.
Den her?
Ja. Enig.
Nå kjører den da, vet du.
Ja, men da må jeg sånn halvveis forbi den her da.
Ja, kan vi dra hit? Skal vi gjøre det? Satser på det?
Ja.
Jeg tror det er bra, ja.
They put the guard there. Is the out-turn tap not available?
Think they believe it's going to stick. And, well, it might be there. If they put it onto the yellow in the back forefoot, it'll be a steal of 2 for Norway.
Det er også greit, altså.
Ja.
Du kan velge.
Jeg har ganske mye mer is nå enn hva jeg hadde på første stedet.
Ja, men vi skal ikke køle så mye heller da.
Nei.
Er det bra?
Ja.
Ja.
Some agreement reached there.
Christine Skoslian just guarding the situation in the house.
Hei! Hello her. Alt her. Du må komme med garden her. Jeg går innerst. Jeg går innerst. Jeg går innerst.
Agnes going around the rock and then coming forward. Well,
Not a bad result. They're sitting 2, I believe.
leave themselves lying 2.
Leave Scotland a pretty straightforward shot for 1, but I don't see a way they can score more than that.
I don't. It's almost unmissable for 1, but also impossible for 2.
Det er andre seieren. Når man kjører første og siste, så er det stor forskjell på farta, altså. Så man kjører på seieren her.
There's no hole there. I'm going to say there's no hole there.
No.
Just no hole.
Får seg en til en da. Det er bra. Er det bytta? Er det sentralen nå?
So Bruce Mount, the number 2 ranked male player. Of course, he's after Martin Rios. Martin Rios typically throws 2, 3, and 4. Bruce throws 1 and 5. So a little different position that each plays. And I'm fairly sure that neither of these teams have switched that. When you're undefeated, you generally don't switch the throwing order. Thinks his weight's all there.
Looks like line's quite good as well.
I think he's going to be right there.
Right on the pin, and big cheer from the Scottish crowd that's in here. Scotland scores 1 in the first end to take an early lead over Norway.
There's a large Scottish contingent.
And as always, they are cheering more than anybody else.
You sound as if you've experienced that at numerous European championships.
Well, I've never played the European Championship.
But you've been there, though.
I have been there. There you see them. Happy crowd.
Actually, at least a couple of those people are Canadian, so one of them was their driver.
Well, he's bound to feel a little bit Scottish then.
Scottish right now.
Well, against Norway, he won't have to feel too patriotic with Canada. They're not even in this group.
But they're not. Canada in our previous webcast game defeated Russia.
And because they scored, it's now Scotland and Bruce Mowat to start off the second end. Really important to come past his guard.
Sounds like they're on it.
Yes.
Bruce knows that's not the result you want.
No, now Norway has hammer and corner guards. And you have to remember, Scotland won't be allowed to hit this with their next either. So Magnus going to come around. They have now swapped the order. Magnus going to throw the 1 and 5.
They have. They discussed changing the order during their game against Russia that we showed last night, then decided against it. Discussed changing the order for the last end.
Let's go. Kun linje. Kun linje. Helst ikke. Helst ikke. Ja. Liten split. Vi må svare bort den.
Going to try and split these instead.
He's going to leave a pocket, which isn't really what he wanted to do. So now it will be up to Gina Aiken to try to close down the scoring area with a well-placed freeze. She can angle this.
Oh, and she'll just wreck on the guard. Rolling in her shooter. But you gotta say it's quite a good situation for Norway with that happening. If you have any questions about mixed doubles or anything else going on here in the Grant Harvey Centre, you can post them on Twitter. Use hashtag WMDCC2013. We will see them and get back at you as soon as we can.
So Norway now with 2 corner guards. Scottish stones, but 2 corner guards and the hammer and 2 counters. This rock does have some curling to do.
Oh, and it's quite heavy as well. They were looking for top 12, top 8.
That is more than top 12 or top 8, but actually probably fairly fortunate with how that ended up.
It's not the easiest of freezes right now. It was a big pocket for Gina with her first, and it's not really anymore.
One thing with the change in this throwing order, we saw the other night that Magnus Nedregatten can throw big weight really easily. And I think he would probably favor clearing if Scotland gets a stone in a tough spot here now. But he won't be throwing.
Whoa, right off. Whoa, right off.
Line isn't good.
No, she was wide with her first.
Whoa. We're already here.
This one looks about the same. Well, curling a bit more. And actually a really good throw by Gina Aitken.
Really good throw despite the criticism of it. As the stone traveled down, nobody was too confident about it. It can go through there. Ideally, Norway could just punch it through and roll half a rock over. Take away that freeze. Show a sliver of it from behind the corner guard. So Christine Skazlian with the occasional glance down at the stone as she slides out. Well, she doesn't get inside and loses her stone that they were freezing to previously, that Scotland was freezing to. Result is a pretty good one for Norway.
And now we see more of a traditional end building up rather than a mixed double one with everything down the center line. Gina Aitken gonna try and hit and roll here. She would like to get a double on the reds. Sit for shot stone behind some cover.
You're trying to get a roll, remember?
It's either control or barrier. I should probably just stick with the barrier.
Just because you like saying it?
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Oh.
She's not gonna get the roll, but
She
she
will.
will get rid of the other one. At least move it far enough to sit for second and third shot.
En, to. Samme fart.
So it works as well as a double, really.
Da kommer den, da, eventuelt.
Should be able to curl up a little bit more. His shooter probably would have remained his shot in front of that other red one.
Det greit for deg?
Magnus here would like to make a play on that yellow one nonetheless.
Da kommer du og se hvis du vil.
Now Christine is going to come down and have a look at it. Saw Canada finish their game this afternoon with just 25 seconds left on the clock. That's about as close as we've seen a team come to a problem with the clocks.
Tenk hvis vi kommer her, da. Det er dårlig.
Ja, men da jeg kan jo prøve på å ta med shotten vår, for eksempel, da.
Christine is a bit worried that she's going to overcurl if she throws this.
Er du med på den, eller? Det gjør det. Ikke en isfylla.
Fart, sikkert samme fart som i stad, da. Er det greit?
Ja, du må ha litt mer is og køle ned her.
Ja.
So agreeing now, it is the shot they're going to see, and I think
Samme fart som i stad.
it's probably good that she came up and had a look at it. Otherwise, she would have still been uncomfortable from the hack. Now she knows what the situation is like in the house.
So an inside-out shot. We don't see a whole lot of these in mixed doubles. Rock starting closer to the center line. We see most of the shots starting in the 12-foot.
And also very often we see them over curl, as this path isn't being used nearly as often.
Jams, but leaves the yellow in a spot that's not entirely bad for Norway.
Vi ble enige om den oppgaven nå.
Ja, jeg vet det. Men skal vi ordne det?
Ja.
Det ligger jo bare til shotten vår. Skal vi skyde på for den, da?
Edge of stone. Yep, edge of stone.
Final shot for Scotland in the second end is going to be thrown by Bruce.
Hvis vi hadde gjort den rullen her, så...
We just like to get rid of the red, set 3, make Norway draw for 1.
I did hear him mention the double. He doesn't need the double.
No. I like this one.
Gina wondering if he should throw the other turn.
Vi ser ikke så litt her. Synes ikke jeg det. Oi.
Well done.
Skal vi klippe den, eller? For to.
Magnus Nedregotten looking at the triple for 2.
I think it looks difficult the way the first two are
I'd say it looks
there.
really difficult.
Say it's probably not there.
Yeah. I seem to be looking at it, but I
Just going
don't
to be
see
the
it.
draw for 1, I believe.
So he's drawing for 1 against 3 Scottish counters.
Mindre is, da. Litt mindre is, da.
Last stone of the second end. Magnus Nedregotten needs full 8 foot and a bit more to score 1.
He looks close.
As a gap.
I think just clean it.
One red.
One red it is, and a tied game after 2 ends. We do have a couple of other games going on. Sweden scored 3 on Latvia in the first end. Finland scored 1 on Slovakia in their first end. And between England and Netherlands, they've played 2 ends. England scored 2 in the first. Netherlands came back with a 4 in the second end. So Netherlands with a 4 shots to 2 lead over there. And now the Scottish fans are just singing away.
Cranking it up over there, they are. So a 1-1 game as we start the third end.
Yes, and Norway changed back again. Maybe they're going to change depending on if they have hammer or not, I'm not sure. But Christine is the one to start here. 27 years old, started curling in 98. So she has been a part of the Norwegian women's team for a number of years with the Lynn Gitmark.
I think they're going to switch just to keep testing us, to keep us sharp. Another one that's good weight, as we saw today. That's great line too. Looked like it might be over curling, but it wasn't.
I'm up there. Bit less. Bit less.
Norway also played this morning, beat Estonia. Bruce Mowat, 18, started curling in 2002.
Looks like he's got some good line on this.
Angle it just a bit would be good. It's a well-played shot.
Magnus feel like he knows the weight more on this side, so they're going to play the intern to follow.
Magnus Nedregotten, age 22, started curling in 2006. As Sarah noted, he's played in a World Junior Championship for Norway.
Yeah, best result bronze in 2011.
Certainly a pretty good result.
And he will have a good result here as well, I believe.
Some great shot making here to start this end. Scotland is going to stick with yet another freeze.
This time trying to play this with an angle.
This is looking much like the start of a traditional curling end with good curling. Continually freezing on your opponent's stones. At some point we'll see if Scotland runs something in there.
Gina Aitken, 19 years old, student in the University of Glasgow. And if she's going to wreck, they would sure like to split the guards a bit. She'll move it over to the side, just cross the center line, and Norway going to keep guarding this.
Elected to guard again. First they looked like they might freeze again, but they're going to guard again. Or guard for the first time, I guess, actually.
Jeg tenker de har jo deg.
Jeg vet. Dermed så det kanskje greit å gå helt ned.
Ja.
Thinking that Scotland can slash their corner guard in. Maybe want to take that away. Think they have elected just a guard though.
Linja er bra. Bare fart.
Magnus's weight looks good. It's just a matter if they can get it to finish enough. Mission accomplished.
Now Scotland might need to open things up.
Det som den, vet du. Den tror jeg
Make the double peel. Open it up.
kan ha skyndes ut av kroppen, men
Ikke den løpingen her.
Ja, nei, det er litt derfor det var derfor.
det er ikke, eller, ja.
Bruce suggesting the straight peel. Not going to worry about the double peel, though it seems fairly natural. Some of the coaches here at this event have noted that these rocks will curl even with the peel weight. They'll curl a bit more than we might expect some rocks at championship events to curl. Does seem to be the case. A touch more weight needed on peels, or a touch more ice needed on peels than we've seen, than we typically see. And that was fortunate for
Yeah,
Scotland.
definitely.
They might want to quickly apologize after that one, I think. Almost missed everything.
Gets a really good result instead.
Han kjapper nå, men jeg tror ikke jeg er slutt.
Fairly close to perfect, Bruce Mount, considering what that could have been if it had just gone by that stone. All of a sudden, Norway has to figure out how to get in there. I think the corner freeze across the face just a little bit of the Scottish Yellowstone would be a great shot,
Litt mindre, så jeg får mulighet til å trykke på litt.
but not an easy one.
No, and they don't want to miss this just a bit wide.
And line it up.
And that could also happen if Magnus is a bit narrow. He could rub off the top yellow.
Right, and roll to the spot that lines it up for Scotland.
Ja, eller?
They might just be playing the straight guard, I think.
Yes, they are.
Perhaps they thought of those problems with the freeze.
But over curls.
Yeah, that said, the guards are difficult on this ice, and that's why more often than not, just as in traditional curling, it seems that second shot is your best guard.
Sorry, ass. Ja, sorry. Skjerp meg.
So Gina Aiken thinks, and Bruce Mount think they can move this with back 8 weight. I tend to agree with that.
Jeg sa mye som i sted, jeg hadde mindre i sted, ikke sant? Trykker jeg på mer.
Ja, men da skal man jo.
Ja, så da er vel kanskje det problemet her da, at jeg ikke var fin på kost, eller at visen var feil. Ok.
Where? Oh.
Back ring, they were looking for back 8, so
And the line seems to be coming down now. She just needs to hold it. Oh, it looks good. Enough for shot stone.
for shot stone, maybe with a little more weight they could have moved it further. It seems like they could have thrown more weight at that. Although they, even with more weight, they would probably still only sit one.
I think Norway's going to guard this now. They can't really hope for anything else but to leave Scotland with a score of 1 in this end.
I'm not sure what Scotland can play to score more than one. Do you see something?
No, I think it's a fairly straightforward one. Of course, we'd like to see them try something.
We do like to see people try something versus throw it through. So
Oh, want to roll away a bit. Over curls on that one too, and can Scotland now play the tap for two?
looks to me like if they do that, that red that's just half in the, or the yellow that's just half in the top forfeit will be just shot if they can move the back red far enough out of the forefoot.
What did you play?
I think they need a little more than what Gina Aiken threw, though. They're saying just back ring. She may have been just tee almost, though. Certainly can't see much of it. It doesn't have to hit a whole lot of it.
No, and with just backstring weight, there's no real risk to throwing this either. It doesn't look like they can lose one. So chance for two. Last stone of the third end, Scotland with a chance to score a deuce.
Sweeping it early. Now off it.
Completely backing off. And it won't be enough for two. Scotland will score the one. So they will be one up, and Norway will have the hammer playing the fourth end. On the other sheet, Sweden actually stole three on Latvia, so they're up 6-0. Slovakia, Finland are one each after two ends, and Netherlands are up 5-2 over England, still to win a game.
So here in the fourth end, as we approach the midway point of the game, with Bruce Mowat, the number 2 ranked male player in the event by percentages. Making his living here with the opening draw and making his last. This lineup is not the conventional lineup. Well, if there is such a thing as conventional in mixed doubles, most of the mixed doubles lineups usually see the male player throwing 2, 3, 4. Scotland stuck with this throughout the whole event, and it's worked well since they're undefeated. That one over curling a little bit.
Yes, I would think that he's the number 1 in percentages when it comes to throwing 1 and 5. So I think if he's the most efficient with the last stone, then that's probably one of the reasons why they're 6-0.
Magnus Nedregotten is going to chop off that. Didn't quite push them both far enough. It would be ideal to have 2 corner guards. Would have been a good one to play a tick on, I think, in a game that's where you're down just by 1. You're playing the fourth end. Freeze by Bruce Mowat a little offline. Gina Aiken will attempt to freeze on top of the rock that her teammate just placed there.
Where? Yep.
be curling on this side.
All the way. All the way.
She
all the way,
will
all
be
the way,
by.
all the way, all the way.
We by and get to the inside. It's a very nice shot. I think Magnus, is going to look at clearing guards now. He's thinking they might be able to catch the back of that red stone and spin their shooter into the rings, or have their shooter carry on into the rings. Christine Skazlian.
Bringing all of her power here.
Gave it some extension there. He's watching it. Magnus is watching it.
Oh,
And
and
we're
it's
through the hole. I was going to suggest that if they were ever to miss this peel, they might go right through the hole.
It's not a big hole, that's for sure.
Let's try that again just to see if it can be done again if we were trying it.
Well, it's up to you.
Bruce is suggesting coming through it, so maybe we'll get to see it again. Freeze is probably the better shot. They certainly don't want to disturb those two guards, not having last rock.
Like to get a good angle here so that it's lined up to the red one.
Bend more. Whoa. Wait only. Is it heavy? Yep. Yep. Whoa.
Starting to curl now. Maybe they could tap this onto the red. We'll do that to set one.
Feels open a little bit. I'm not sure how much the Norwegians can see of it. Well, they can certainly get to it. Either an inside roll or looks like it will jam onto the red, but they might be able to push it far enough.
Jeg tror kanskje det er best å prøve clearinga en gang til her.
Kan du ikke prøve å ta en bak der og plan B er garden hvis du køler over?
Det er shotten da.
Ok.
Ok da, kjører vi det. 11. Tror jeg skal bli liggende igjen her da, en plass. Er det greit?
Ja.
Playing the hit. See about 7/8 of it from the hack, I imagine.
No, just playing 11, which would be quite a soft weight.
That looks like more than 11.
Looks like more.
Fra garden, men greit det.
Let's hope they were on the same page.
Yep, I think
Stå da.
it might be on the guard, but Magnus called that was fine. Open things up a bit.
Bra satt.
Again, I think it's another instance where second shot is a pretty good guard. They could probably half bury it behind that guard that's just off the center line. Bite the button. Make the freeze to the back one difficult. Though it's not perfect. Would allow Norway to come in and lock one in there. So they're going to play board weight at this red stone. Remove it. Probably a good conservative play.
They are one up. I'm thinking they will be fine with letting Norway score one.
Norway has 2 stones to come. Scotland will have 1 stone after this stone is delivered. Bruce Mount's tone would suggest sweeping won't be required on this one.
No, it's got some curling to do. It will spill their own, but gets enough to get the red out.
In some ways, spilling their own is not, considering the conservative end they're setting up to play here, not the worst. Take that stone out of the back of the rings.
Now Norway's going for the hit and the roll.
Du får bestemme isen selv. 15, eller?
Moving towards a blank here. But we all know that a blank in mixed doubles, we don't all know, but a blank in mixed doubles, you don't retain hammer in the next end.
Oh, so you're definitely better off scoring your one.
Aldri.
Nære.
Nei, ingenting. That's up.
He'll get to nose, and Bruce Mount will hit this one. So as you noted early in the end, Sarah, this was an end more akin to something we might see in traditional curling.
Phil. Try and get the roll.
Trying to get the roll would indicate they would rather see Norway play a draw than a hit. Of course, well, if they play the hit and roll off, then it's nothing. If they play the guard, they draw and they don't make it perfect, then Scotland will steal one, so that would make sense.
May as well be aggressive trying to get the roll here, actually, in a game that doesn't reward blank ends.
Played quite a lot of weight on that.
Sticks his shooter at the top there, top 8 foot.
Leaves a nose hit from Magnus to tie the game up to each. They are definitely limiting the team with hammer to scoring only one.
Yeah, both teams playing, I think, smartly in terms of their tactics. They're not allowing themselves to get in big trouble in any end. Schrock has some curling to do, and there is a blank. First blank we've seen. A blank here in mixed doubles punishes the team a bit that takes it, because they will lose the advantage of hammer in the next end.
Yeah, and some frustration there. Fourth ends have been played, which means it's half the game. We're playing 8 ends in mixed doubles. Players will have a short break, so will we, and we'll be back with a recap of the first half of the game in a couple of minutes. So recap of the game between Norway and Scotland. In the first end, Bruce Mowat has a pretty straightforward draw to find the pin and score 1. In the second end, it's a draw right back for Norway, and Magnus Nedregotten is looking to tie the game up at 1 each. No problems for the Norwegian male player there. 1-1 after 2 ends. In the third end, and actually a chance of scoring 2, even though it's not looking too easy. Bruce Mowat won't really catch enough of the first red. They will score 1 to still have a 1-point lead. In the fourth end, to tie the game again, Magnus Nedregotten with a nose hit. He will be wide, roll off, and it'll actually be a blank end.
Closing in on it. Will actually be a blank end.
Be a blank?
Yes.
I try.
You try very, very well. So, nonetheless, there's a blank end, and what Sarah was trying to get to is that in mixed doubles, you don't retain the hammer when you blank an end. So the hammer shifts back to Scotland. So rolling out on that was less than advantageous for the Norwegians. Magnus a little frustrated with himself after that one. And this shot, not a good opener for Christine Skaslien, giving Bruce Mowat a chance to get one in the top 4 and really start to eventually, I think, open up the scoring area and give Scotland a chance to score multiple points with last rock.
Yeah, I think in a traditional game of curling where teams tend to be trading ones, the first team to score 2 normally gets quite a big mental advantage. Do you think that would apply here as well, even though we quite often see big scores of 3s or 4?
Well, I think in this game, outside of these opening stones, has been more well played. So I think big ends are less likely. And with Scotland up 2-1, even 2 here would be a big number for them to go up 4-1 playing the 6th end. The game moves along quickly, so next thing you know, you're into the second half of the game.
Yep, you can't snooze or blink for too long in mixed doubles curling. And since there is an opportunity here, Magnus better turn on his focus and put one in front of the tee line.
It's certainly going to be at the back 4, down to those stones. But not a bad stone in that it, once again, cuts down the scoring area. And Scotland, who has last rock, I think would rather have it opened up. This might be an opportunity to peel here, but they're going to come down to that. The challenge will be freezing on top of that one. I'm not sure how they manufacture their 2. The way that red stone is welded on the Scottish Yellowstone, just touching the back 4.
Gina Aitken gonna play the freeze here, and I don't know, hope that Norway won't freeze it right back.
Yeah, that seems to be the approach at this point. Both of these young kids on it now. Really working it, trying to get it at least into the top 8 here. Won't be shot, but it is in a place that it can be used by Scotland. They're looking at the corner freeze. Is that what they elected to play, Sarah, or are they just guarding?
Either or. I think
Er det samme som i stad?
they want to throw the corner freeze, but they're saying the guard is okay.
Because they do guard on this side. I think it is available with the out turn.
I samme fart.
OK?
Helst ikke, da. Ja, OK. 4.
Calling the same weight might actually be playing the freeze
4.
themselves.
Ja. Bare.
Could be a good call.
Don't want to push the yellow one out in the open. Looks like they're going to make the
Now
angle
they're gonna make
freeze
the
really
corner
nicely.
freeze. It's a good play. No shortage of high fives in this game either.
Well, a lot of the teams seem to be cheering each other on as much as they can.
I'll give you tight ice. Picking the guard's not bad.
I really want to catch the guard, though.
Bruce Mount suggesting you take tight ice because clipping the guard might not be too bad. This is one of these shots, a shot at this point in the end where they really need to make it, though. Tolerances on this are... Ticking the guard is okay, but it's certainly want to make this.
Whoa.
Back ring.
He's calling back ring, which is more than I think they would hope to have here. And that is going to sail by and maybe clip out one of the yellows at the back there.
Not very helpful for Scotland. Maybe that whole Bruce talking about I'm giving you tight ice just made Gina throw some extra weight.
May not have been exactly what he wanted to plant in her head. Maybe she thought with the ice tight she had to throw a little bit more to make sure it held its line.
Du bestemmer hva kan du gjøre da. Hva du føler for.
Se om jeg hakker.
Ja.
Bra der, da. Han må da smyge garden skikkelig, altså.
Ja.
Magnus might not like that handle. Trying to tighten it up. He's a curling instructor and prefers to be called Magnus.
Rather than Marcus?
Yes,
I think so, that is his name.
as I struggled with last night.
Well, you've been very good today.
Solid today.
Might be because of all of the signs on our screen saying Magnus.
A monitor filled with paper that reminds me it's Magnus and not Marcus. Helped that I talked to him before the game, too, and got to know him. So now we're tight, Magnus and I.
And he is sitting two.
Sitting two, and Scotland is going to try to get to the inside of that one, but that's no small task.
No, there's not a lot of room.
From
They
the
were-
hack, that can't look good. They can only see about a thick half of the red stone they're trying to get to, the face of.
This is what happens when you put your stones back of the tee line early in the end of a mixed doubles game. We were talking about them really wanting to score two. Right now they are facing two with 2 stones to go.
Right now, they'd be
Yep.
very happy if they got out of here with one, but
It's the way.
I think
Yep.
after those early misses, they should have looked at clearing or hitting some rocks earlier.
Whoa. Close.
Whistle there.
Close.
Right away.
Whoa. No. Whoa. No. No, no, no. We're right off. Right off.
We'll finish, but I don't think it's going to get to the face of it. Still 2 red. The aggressive call here for Norway would be to play the in-turn right into that pocket. Tough. It will move in there, though.
Altså, jeg kan gjøre, så dra her, Fred.
Magnus is looking at it.
Shotten hvis den går hardt der, så den vil gå ut, og den vil spinne hit.
Ikke faen, det er ikke noe vits i å tenke på det. Han kommer til å dra her likevel.
Okay.
Magnus
Jeg liker ikke
saying
å dra nedpå, jeg vil bare enklere fra.
it's all that Scotland has is to come down that side.
I like this in-turn draw. I like trying to lock one in there. Really, I think they have a good opportunity for 3 if they can put that in there. Well, they definitely a good opportunity for 3, but why not apply some pressure? You're down 2-1. You just missed an opportunity to score and gave up a blank. Gave up a blank.
Nei, vi må gjøre det her. Vi får 2 på uansett hvis han prøver.
If Scotland hits the yellow, they might be able to squirt those reds far enough, but I don't think so.
Magnus has made the call that it's not happening. They're actually just going to guard here because he feels like they're going to steal 2 in either way, and the only way they're not going to get 2 is if Scotland can play this in-turn draw, so they are going to guard it.
Of course, if they did put it, just biting the button, Scotland wouldn't have the in-turn draw either.
No, they wouldn't.
Of course, the conservative player is the guard. If they do get out of here with 2 points, Norway, they will be in a good position in this game.
Jeg går innerst.
And I think psychologically, they've probably felt as if they've been chasing this entire match.
Ok, vi går innerst i this. Bare over, den kører alt for mye.
Magnus twirling around in front of the rock.
He asked to be closest, but Christine was already there.
Might want to bounce off this just a little bit.
Won't get quite the bounce they need, and now Scotland's going to have a look at seeing if they could squeeze the red ones out enough with a hard one. I think they might need to play the in-turn.
Let's see if we can hear how well the Norwegians are getting along. Now their mics are off now.
Mics are off, and Bruce Mowat thinks it's worth a shot.
He might be able to squeeze the red out.
Yeah, it looks like it's possible.
If he hits a thin half of the yellow.
I guess if he could even give up just a steal of 1, it's still a fairly acceptable result. Last stone of the 5th end, some big weight from Bruce Mowat. Try and squeeze the red out of the 4-foot.
Takes a breath and chases after it. Oh. Almost shaved it in.
Oh, did he get the yellow in enough
shaved
for
it
a
in
second
enough
shot?
for a second shot. It's close. They're going to measure it. May have shaved it in to take away 1. That's a difficult way to move your rock about 2 inches and get second shot, but he might have done that. Let's see. Here's the replay. Almost misses everything. Jiggles the back one a little bit. Moves his yellow on a 180-degree plane. Here comes the measure from the far end, of course. We haven't kept track of the number of measures we've seen, but there has been one in just about every game, owing to the fact that so many rocks are near the center. Circling it. Have a player out to look at it. What's your prediction, Sarah?
It looks red to me, but we're from, you know, a very red angle.
I will go with that though and say it's 2 for Norway. But no.
No. That was enough by Bruce Mowat to give Norway a steal of 1, and it's still a very close and tight game after 5 ends.
Shaved that rock in there with peel weight. Shaved it far enough to cut them down. Guess if he had hit half a rock, it probably would have been shot fairly easily.
I think Scotland should be quite happy with that result, seeing how the end was set up for them.
So the officials get the rock into position here. Pat it over into the right spot. Other scores on other sheets. If we look across, sheet B, we have England taking on the Netherlands. The Netherlands out to a commanding 8-3 lead. They're playing the 6th. England has the hammer in the 6th, but down by 5. On sheet D, we have Slovakia versus Finland. And Finland is trailing 4-3. Slovakia has the hammer in the 5th end. And on sheet E, we have Latvia versus Sweden. Sweden is ahead 7-3, and they'll have the hammer playing the 6th end.
I think Norway likes to swap when they have hammer.
That's what you've decided. I think we'll ask them that if they are the post-game interview team.
Well, they don't have hammer now, do they?
So they've just blown your theory up.
Yes. At least I had a theory.
Nothing wrong with theories.
Sometimes you just need to think them through before you say them out loud, I guess.
Well, it's just the theory, and then we try to back it up with empirical evidence, but that evidence does not exist. So I think they're just going with intuition.
Scotland, though, with strategy, they will not change their positions around.
That's a well-played stone.
Yeah, he'll tap that back, 12 foot. Like to keep things a bit more open maybe this end.
Moving that stone to the back and leaving the shooter barely half exposed on the intern side. Magnus would like to move this one back to the back 4 foot.
Certainly freezing would be okay. You don't want to be heavy and roll out. Well, I guess if you're heavy, you might create yourself a pocket to freeze on later.
You're watching her glance up and down on the stone there.
Yeah, she seemed like she was always almost up to sweep before she had
let go.
Yep.
Sometimes I think the people who glance down the stone, and I do that a bit, but when you see it, sometimes looks as if they're not sure that someone may have taken it out of their hand on the way out.
Are you afraid that that might happen to you when you're sliding?
I do know I do the same thing from time to time. And of course the top player we've seen do it a lot is Wayne Middaugh from Canada. He does that in a lot of shots.
She will have a bit too much weight and hit that on the outside. There are stones back at the tee line now, but Gina Aitken is going to try and find maybe the 8 foot to try and protect from the freeze.
Well, Scotland's certainly in a good position here with, even though they're in the back 4 foot, scoring area is opened up. Not facing the cluster of rocks that can make a 2 or 3 difficult to figure out. Could also just peel here too, right? I mean, a peel on this might not be the worst shot.
Where?
The weight's alright.
Whoa, looks up to me.
7, 8.
Gina a bit hopeful that the weight was good. Bruce suggesting it's heavy.
Yep.
And now it's possible for Norway to freeze all of this away.
The shooter rolled directly in front of the other stone in the back 4 foot. Magnus is suggesting back line.
Plan B er bare frysen. Det er jo veldig greit, da.
plan B is to play the freeze.
Our Twitter hashtag is up. If you'd like to send us comments or questions or make notice of this event, it's hashtag WMDCC 2013, WMDCC 2013. Well, I don't think she really has to tap it, actually. I mean, the freeze certainly accomplishes the objective.
I think a freeze might be a really wise call.
Freeze would probably be better, no separation.
Helt vekk.
Magnus
Lenger er det ikke.
really seemed to be chewing on that thought in his head, trying to decide what to say.
He said, not a touch. It's really heavy, this one.
So now if Scotland can put one in the top forefoot, they're certainly in control of this end. They could also peel the guard and invite Norway to try to freeze into that pocket to save the end. I think I like to come around here, though.
Yeah, I like it too. Would maybe think they'd play it on the in turn, but they have elected the out turn.
It is a long guard, so there's also a chance they'll over curl and come out the other side. So that release looked like it might have been a little bit softer,
Whoa. Make sure top tee.
but I think she got away with it.
Whoa. Top tee.
Starting to curl now.
Yep. Yep. Hard.
This could be really good if they did need to come out the other side a little bit. I think your instincts were right, Sarah. The in-turn would have been the way to play that.
It is the turn that Norway has
Ja,
been
så greit. Så får jeg bruke
throwing.
den etterpå.
And the rock was open on the in-turn side, so the in-turn would have covered it. If they'd thrown the in-turn, it ended up the same spot on the center line.
Magnus communicating here that you're fine if you're a little bit short, then I can slash it.
So Magnus hopeful that he has something to work with.
Hard linjer.
Hard line
Outdoor. Outdoor.
by Norwegian, improving rapidly.
Kom igjen da. Outdoor. Hele veien. Hele veien.
This is tight to the guard,
Ikke slippe.
and it's even going to be tight to the one that Gina Aiken just put there. Of course, it does roll to a spot that Magnus could use it if it's left there. I think I'd like to see Gina Aiken make a play on it. If I were rooting for Scotland,
Tap that from there.
which I'm not.
Nose is perfect.
If I was their coach, her father,
What are you playing?
nose are a tiny inside roll.
Pat, put one to press.
Well, it's up to you. You're playing it.
If they could roll half a rock,
Go back, Ryan.
just get under that guard.
It's quite wise that they're not throwing too much weight on this. If they want to find the inside, they don't want to roll too far, because that would leave Magnus to freeze. It's not ideal to be playing a freeze against 5, but it would be there to save the end. And if they can just stay there and take the freeze away, Norway might just have to try and peel as much as they can out, and Scotland will have a shot for maybe 2 or 3.
Yep.
Nose certainly takes away everything.
Yep.
Might even move their back yellow over a little bit, but they've got to go on this, or Gina has to go on it.
Yep. Hard. Go hard. Come on.
You don't want to roll too far, which they're going to do. They will lie 5, but Magnus Nedragaten does have an out.
You could play the hit on the one that Gina pushes out there. You hit that and roll in. He could actually sit frozen on the button.
That does look to be what he's playing. I expect big weight. He's going to hit it almost where the broom is. Deep breath, facing 5. Certainly needs a big shot here. Of course, any inside roll will at least cut them down, I think. Oh, he's not throwing big weight.
Må kjøle.
Firm, but not giant. There it is.
A great result for Norway. Really punishing Scotland for that
Long
rolling
roll.
too far, yeah.
I mean, there was just almost any inside roll was going to be a good result there.
Just their communication is quite funny. Kristen's yelling yes, and Magnus is yelling it needs to curl even though he's running along the stone. Can Scotland tap this down here? I'm not even sure they can score 2.
I think they'll have to hit it awfully thin, and they don't have a lot of, obviously with that ice, they're not throwing much weight at it. It's a bit more weight, they might be able to just chip it out. Of course, they would risk possibly giving up one as well then too if it ever over curled. Didn't waste much time making the decision on what they're playing, so
Stay close. Yes. Yes. Whoa. Yes, yes, yes. Go hard. Right off, go hard.
Oh, and he will wreck on the guard, and it's actually a steal of one for Norway after it was going to look like a big house for Scotland the entire way. After 6 ends, it's 3-2. Tight lead for Norway.
I think since Norway was shot, it would have been a wise idea just to try to pick that with more weight. They couldn't really hurt themselves, and I think the shot was harder with less weight. So Norway, after dodges a bit of a bullet there, looked like they could give up a big end till Scotland rolled too far. Gene Aiken's last rolled too far, and Magnus Nedregotten took advantage of that mistake.
Hakket mer.
Scotland will have hammer again in the 7th end, as we see the numbers for Christine Skoslien. I believe she is ranked 12th among female players. Of a tough result there, wrecking on the guard. We've said it before, leaves the opportunity for Scotland straight away.
And of course, in the last end, Norway got in trouble early in the end. And Magnus Nedregotten was left facing 5 with his last until he made a fine hit and roll. Bruce Mowat, I don't know if his game accuracy in this contest will be as high as his overall tournament accuracy. He has struggled a bit. Had some tough shots as well.
But this will be a good one if it's not too deep.
A little too deep and over curls a little bit. Over curls slightly. So while the crowd likes it, I think, may not be ideal.
I also think the crowd is biased.
Really, the Scottish contingent. The largest contingent in the arena today. So they're going to play this with the out turn.
Yeah, I think they're trying to tap it down, maybe rolling in towards the center. Remember, they're not allowed to hit it quite yet. 73% for Magnus Nedregotten. He's ranked 7th amongst the male players.
All of his games around 75% except for 168. Didn't quite get the finish he was hoping for. And gives Gina Aiken an opportunity to hit and roll under.
They're just tapping, I believe. They can't really see all of this.
Yeah, she doesn't have to move it out of the rings. I think more important is to make sure her shooter gets somewhat under the guard. I'd love to roll over and touch the center line. Gina Aiken at 75% for the tournament. That had her in first place among female players. Of course, she's also throwing 2-3-4, so she's actually has a larger sample size than most in this tournament.
And some really great lines. She's just by the guard. Oh, and actually over curling, but will come up to center line.
Sticks right on top of the other one. Both teams are close with their weight all the time here.
Norway gonna just try and nose hit this.
Magnus Nedregotten will come through this port. It opens the right way for him. If he hits half the yellow, should get some good action on the one that Gina Aiken just threw there, which is the high one. No, he's asking for more ice, so maybe he's just trying to nose it. If he just noses it, it's certainly tough for Scotland to score more than one.
Yeah, that would give them a tied game in hammer coming home the 8th end, which should be a comfortable position.
What order do you think they'll go with in that scenario?
Think they might swap again?
I think Magnus will throw 1 and 5.
Perhaps.
I think that might be true. This has to curl, though, if he's going to get to nose and not wrecking the guard. Which he just did. Threw a little block on Bruce Mowat there, unintentionally.
Well, he apologized, and Bruce didn't seem too upset, so...
No.
Hit it on that side, so it's always coming over here.
Okay.
If you put it up here, you could do that.
Even if I'm nosing on it. Yeah.
I like that, yeah.
Okay.
So I think the call is to freeze another one on top. They could lie 3, I believe. I think they'll be just 3, right?
They will be just 3, but I think we can count on the fact that they are going to be moved. So sitting 3 might not be the key here. I think they were actually looking at curling in behind the guard and maybe
hard.
Find the corner of the yellow-red pocket.
Wait, it's okay, I know, wait. Watch the line.
You watch line.
Watch the line.
Now no one's watching the line.
They both bolted out.
Yep.
And they actually didn't really need to sweep for line.
Bruce suggested that Gina watch the line. It's going to be pretty good. That's a really good shot. If they hit that top yellow, I think it goes onto the red.
Yeah, remember, if the red flies, they have that back yellow as well.
Right, really a great shot to leave it there. And they talked about that, leaving it on that side. So exactly the scenario would result. If Magnus throws this hard, he's going to lose that red. And I think at least the middle two yellows are going to stay.
Remember, you can't see much of it either.
Oh, this is a well played end by by the Scottish kids. Kids.
Bra.
Well played in by the Scottish players. They're just awfully young.
Vi får
They play a
fjerne
smart game.
en sten og gjøre den.
I'm just not going to comment.
Du må tappe dønn da, for at det skal være noe vits i.
Ja, nei, men det er fin den her.
Syns du det?
Ja.
They don't have a good shot to play here.
No, they might
Vi kan prøve den.
need to be running this down straight.
It's really an
Faen,
all or
det er
nothing
faktisk
shot.
lyst på at du slår ut egen, da.
Ja, det ligger 2 uansett etter den standen her.
Ja, så det er kanskje like greit å gå for det.
Jeg er enig. Da må vi ha nok is. Men Kristin, du køler ikke en stein etter vi passerer den garden.
Not only that was that a good shot by Jeannie Aiken, they made it with no one calling the line. Bruce excited, bolted out there.
Call the line. No, you call the line. They didn't need anyone to call the line. It was still good.
Who needs someone to call line? Way overrated.
Play your shots perfect. You won't need skipper or a sweeper.
Right, just go with instincts. Randy Furby had a great quote once where he suggested to Chris Shilley to stop hitting the broom and start making shots. Mixed doubles, you really have to own your own shots.
Ren!
Helst ikke!
Åh! Åh!
Smyg i garden! Og smyg i garden!
Ren! Åh! Ja! Ja! Hard! Hard! Kom igjen! Hard! Kom igjen!
Curling, they're really going hard on it. I don't see how.
Du kjører noe hardt der.
Scotland still sitting 3 with hammer. They have 2 stones to go.
They do.
Norway with 1.
One more for Gina Aiken and then Bruce Mowat. I'm not so sure Norway shouldn't have hit something there
Can I get just a wee bit
in order
more?
to leave Christine Skaslien a chance to do something with her last.
I guess they could slash the red in to try and do some damage control.
I was going to suggest that Scotland could just remove that red themselves.
1. 1, 2.
Tight line. Tight.
So they're guarding.
Yep.
1.
Yep.
Line only.
Yep. Hard. Yep.
Do you want to do that far over?
They don't want it to over curl.
No, I think Bruce was calling because he wanted to maybe split the guards a little bit.
Bounce off it, but it's probably covered enough. It's high, but I think you're right. They're left with this red slash in to try to remove at least one of those.
Okay.
Ikke fart til du kjører. Du må kjøre hardere enn 11. Bare sånn cirka.
If they ever come up and hit too much of this, jam in the back, but that would make the shot for 4 easier. Scotland could have played this, but they could have elected to play this shot and then made it for Norway, so perhaps the guard was the wiser call. But I'm not really sure what they took away with the guard.
No, I don't think Norway really had anything on that side.
Yeah, I think they could have hit this red themselves, and then Norway would have had even less than they're entertaining now. Certainly a positive release.
And the
Magnus
wide
is
one.
watching. And they are going to move it far enough to leave Scotland lying just 1-2.
Jeg lurer forsøk. Det ligger 1-2, men stort bedre enn det får du ikke.
There it is. So Scotland will have a draw for 3. Yeah, I don't think the guard helped them much. I did leave Norway that shot. Bruce Mowat has made a lot of these so far this week. See if you can draw a full 4, or just touch the 4 foot, I guess, to get score 3. And head into the 8th end, up by 2.
He is at least scoring 2 right now. Be really good for Team Scotland if they could find the forefoot here.
Heads up. Looking to touch the forefoot. Watch it. Touching forefoot. Good.
There's been money with that all week. 3 for Scotland, and we can say what about sheet B, Sarah?
We can tell you that Netherlands beat England. They scored 10 points, England scored 4, so game over after 7 ends. Sweden's up 8-3 on Latvia, and Finland starting to get a grip over Slovakia, leading that game 7-4 playing the 7th end. And there you see the whole big Scottish crowd in the Grant Harvey Centre today.
Scottish crowds with at least, I think, one random Canadian in there. An ambassador of Fredericton, perhaps.
In to learn some Scottish songs. They do have a few.
So it's 5-3 Scotland as we play the 8th end. Bruce Mao with the opening stone. As we've seen in mixed doubles play, this is a big one. We can really set the tone, make it too really difficult for Norway if this one is placed well. It's a wee bit wide, but I think the line's better now.
A wee bit? Are you turning Scottish?
I'm just relaying what Gina told me. Oh, that's a really nice stone by Bruce Mao with his first. Only 5 thrown stones per team. So not a lot of time to do something about that good first one.
Magnus is going to throw a 1 and 5.
So our prediction held anyways, even if the score, we imagine, did not.
He just said, "Are you crazy?" He will tap it. He will tap it to the side and open up the scoring area a little bit.
Well, I guess he thought it was a valid question.
Yeah, they weren't really that close to the guard, so. Gina Aitken with her first of what could be the final end of this game. She would love to find the inside of the red just played by Magnus Nedregotten.
Where's good? Whoa, 7, 8, 7, 6.
Whoa.
7,
Whoa.
7, 8.
No.
Well, she's left it in the top of the forefoot, created a pocket at the back. Magnus surveys the situation.
Kom på innsida, tappe den dit.
Okay.
Ligge
It's
der.
wise to try to move that one at this point.
Jeg skal bare gå og tappe på den hit. Det er også helt greit.
Ja,
Well,
kjør
they,
den siden.
sure, they could
Down.
tap that side, but that would leave that
Alternativet er garden, eller?
yellow
Nei.
Nei,
in
ok.
top forefoot.
Alternativet er å tappe langt.
So I'm not sure I'm agreeing with this.
I liked his initial call better to make a move on that, the higher yellow. This doesn't seem to change the situation a whole lot.
Yeah, the yellow that we see on this intern side is not really something that Scotland can actually use. The one on the outturn side, just played by Gina Aitken, though, is very usable.
Ok, bare rent. Mål rent. Japp. Hardt. Hardt.
Slutt!
Hardt. Han står uansett. Uansett den er lang. Hardt. Alt der. Alt der. Alt der. Alt der. Alt der.
Taps them around, leaves 3 red in the 4-foot circle. And Bruce Mowat just telling Gina Aitken to put one on the lid here.
Just put it on the lid, he says. Certainly will take away all 3 of those reds, really, if they can lock one in there. She's close on weight. The line will be the most important thing here.
Where?
6,
Whoa, looks big.
7,
6, 7.
Okay. Yep.
7, 8.
Whoa.
Right only.
Whoa, no, no, no.
I think it is an 8.
Right off, no, right
I think
off.
it's T plus, which would be okay if her line improves.
It's coming down.
It's going to be a little high side, though.
Nice.
Certainly not the worst place. Norway has to look at how to create a little more space in there to score their 2 points.
Fjerne den litt.
OK.
Eller, den må kjøre opp. Det er det først og fremst, da.
Curling up to the inside
Mindre sånn.
is number 1.
Kjører vi cirka samme fart.
Tapping back and removing the back yellow a bit to free the shot stones way out in the future will be task number 2.
Jevnt. Nei, ingenting. Må køle deg. Må køle veldig mye. Aldri borti. Den køler ikke opp.
There's a lot of curling to do and a lot of slowing down.
I think this is the fact where she's not playing, well, they were saying line is the most important, and she was mostly going for the tap.
Just perhaps afraid to leave one short there when they really needed that to be thrown with better weight than it was. Now Gina Aitken can really make it difficult for the Norwegians. She can cover the pin with this.
How is Norway going to make room to score a deuce?
Just a wee bit.
It certainly looks inviting from the other end. Perhaps not the best of slides for Gina there, but she recovered.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Actually, it's more like 7.
No.
Perhaps a little bit of nerves for everyone here.
Right off.
7.
Moving with it. It's a little more than a 7, but not much more. Well, that could be moved. Hasn't totally closed down the scoring area yet.
Du trenger ikke å kjøre så hardt. Jeg får spredd
I think
det
they
litt
might actually be able
grann
to
sånn.
throw this with some weight.
Og ligge der. Kan vi ikke
They
kjøre
could
litt
get the
roligere, da?
nose
Så
of
den farten
that.
du hadde er egentlig bra.
Ja, OK.
The weight you had is fine, is what Magnus is saying.
Skal du ha mindre is, eller?
I think they can almost throw it to with enough weight to leave themselves suddenly an opportunity to score 3.
Bare gå for det, frøken. Vi tar den.
Hva sa du?
Bare gå for det, vi
She
tar
gets the
den.
nose on this. Sits right there.
And Magnus creating a bit of a smile on her face before she throws.
And how did he do that?
He told her she was going to make it.
Good for him. And her positive feedback. We saw her last night struggle and then make her last shot in the 8th end against Russia. No, against, I'm sorry,
Hard.
Sweden.
Sweden, right?
Hela upp! Outside! Whoa!
Not the night game, the afternoon game.
Har vi køla? Rent. Rent. Ja.
Looking good here.
Supert.
All of a sudden, Norway is in a position to score a multiple. They need 2 to tie and 3 to win. Bruce Mount is perhaps wishing things had gone a little differently.
When are you going to get shot?
Do you want to get shot?
I suppose, yeah, that's true. But if you do that as well, it's...
I think. Do
I...
you not just think back ring weight? Try and tap that in.
That's pretty tough. Whichever you prefer.
Well, the hit leaves them with shot for 3.
How?
If I miss. If I just do that.
Well, it's the same if you miss there.
Okay, go
Just
for
have to
that.
make either shot. Whichever you're happiest with, actually.
I like
don't
this
mind.
actually.
Because you could bounce
Just
off that as well and you didn't. What weight are you going here?
Full.
Okay.
Just sit in here.
You can catch it pretty skinny and bounce off the yellow. And catch
So
it
gonna
quite
try
I don't
and
want to touch that yellow there.
get Norway
sit right in
back
that
the
corner.
way that Magnus got them when they had an opportunity of scoring big by hitting and rolling into the middle. At least trying to sit one and then just see what they leave them.
And Bruce Mount taking a deep breath as he heads to the hack.
Certainly an important shot. If they could stay undefeated, it'd be really good. Finish top of the group. Big weight on this in-off.
Yep.
Gina calling for sweeping, but Bruce unconvinced. Well, there's cheering from the Scottish contingent, but I'm not sure that's a great result. It's shot rock, but it may not be shot for long.
No, question is, how far can Norway push it?
Kan vi ikke få den der i luka? Det går ikke her. Se her. Sånn.
Nei,
Det
det
går.
går ikke.
Jo, det går. Men da får vi bare 2 da, kanskje. Det er det som er dumt.
He throws it with weight, and they push it beyond there.
Vi må bare tappe den litt da, og gå for ekstra.
And save his shooter for 3.
Er det greia?
Or does he just try to push it?
Tapping and going for the extra end.
Does he just try to push it
Kan
deep?
få 3 også. Med den. Hvis du er
Enough to
heldig.
count.
Med hva da?
Med den.
Can he push it deep enough to count 3
Kanskje?
if he saves his
Ja,
shooter?
kanskje.
Christine is
Akkurat
saying
oppe den,
so.
da.
If he pushes it into that hole and his shooter doesn't roll too far. It'll certainly be an interesting shot. We watch Magnus Nedragotten make his way to the hack. No sweepers in mixed doubles, so you're all alone as you get down there.
Last stone of the 8th end. It certainly is an exciting one.
Linje.
An important one for Norway to tie the game up or maybe even win it right here.
Køl. Er vi i nærheten av 2?
I think he's done it. I think that's 3 red. And a win for Norway. Pushed it far enough into that hole.
At least 2?
I'm not sure about a measure. Looks clearly red to me.
Looks very red.
Actually, these 2? Or this is not? This is that?
I think Bruce Mallett is hopeful at best there, because that looks to me as though it's 3 for Norway, but we'll see the measure.
Jeg så ikke se. Det gjorde vi. Jeg ser det herfra. faen, så digg. Jo, jeg kan det. Vi skal ut og se. Å, fy faen, ass. Sykt. Uansett da.
On the other sheets, games that have wrapped up, Sweden beat Latvia 8-5. And we already talked about the Netherlands defeating England 10-4. And Finland defeated Slovakia 8-5.
As you see that one more time, such a good stone by Magnus Nedregotten to what we believe will win the game.
Really a great throw. Put it into the hole there with just enough weight to have it carry through.
And let's see what the umpires say. And it's really red. Norway picks up the win here this evening after a very close game against Scotland.
A back and forth battle that eventually turned Norway's way.
Yes.
And at least one Norwegian fan is really happy up in the stands. I believe we're going to see the final line score come up. Happy hugs from the Norwegians. We are going to, there you see it, final score, Norway 6, Scotland 5. We are going to see the Norwegians again tomorrow. Our next featured game will be tomorrow at 2:30. That'll be Norway versus Netherlands in the Group C matchup. For now, stay tuned for a recap of the game and also an interview with Norway. Recap of the fifth end here, last stone, and Bruce Mowat manages to just jiggle that yellow in close enough for a second shot. It will be a steal of Norway, and score is 2-2 after 5. In the sixth end, Magnus Nedregotten made a really nice hit and roll. Bruce Mowat won't really be able to make a move on the stones in the house, and it'll be another steal for Norway to lead the game 3-2. In the seventh end, a really nice end for Scotland, and Bruce Mowat has a drop to the forefoot to score 3. It will sit right there. They will score 3, take a 5-3 lead. Finally, in the eighth end, a real good setup for Norway here. Bruce Mowat played a hit and roll on his last, and Magnus Nedregotten, if he can push this yellow all the way out and set 3, he will win the game. It's 2 for sure. Umpires put a stick to it. It's clearly red. Norway scores 3 and wins this really tight game in a really tight Group C.
Magnus, Christina, great game, a great victory in a seesaw battle, and a great shot for you, Magnus, to win the game in the 8th end. As you got into the hack, settling into the hack and looking at that shot for 3, how did you feel about it? How did it look from the hack?
It looked very hard. We actually did it for an extra end, but I saw the possibility for it going perfect and go for 3 and the win. So it was good to see it go.
So you thought you might have 2 for sure if you push it back, and 3 if it went right through the hole.
Yeah. So I was quite secure that we got an extra end, but there was a possibility for making it. So.
Now you two had a tough loss yesterday against Sweden. How do you bounce back today, Christine, with 2 wins?
Okay, I have to admit last night was not a good night, but we had a good win this morning against Estonia, and that really helped us to get our self-confidence back.
Yeah.
So and we did just relax between the games today, and we were really decided for going for the win tonight. So we were, yeah.
Your team is one of the few near the top of the standings that changes throwing order throughout a game. Sort of what motivates that change, and why are you doing it, and when do you feel it's beneficial?
Important for us is to have both of us have self-esteem, and to get that we need to throw the same amount of shots that keep us more on the same level, which we believe we are. And when we manage to have respect for each other's shots, then we do much better than if she, for example, throws many more shots than me. See what I mean?
It makes a lot of sense. I haven't heard that from anyone in mixed doubles, but I understand it. You're a couple, actually,
yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Thanks a lot for your time. I look forward to seeing you guys throughout the rest of the event.
Thanks.